The meltdown in the Iowa caucus was so bad that I actually feel grief for the Democrat Party. And that's almost inconceivable. The grief is gone. The Democrat National Committee, let's see if they dodge this bullet. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. If the election results are out before we finish taping this show, I will put them on the screen at the end of the show. So I'm recording this early on Tuesday the 4th, and last night, Monday the 3rd, was the Iowa Caucus. I stayed up till midnight watching, hoping that I would have something to share with you today. I got up this morning, still nothing. We come into the studio, still nothing. So by the end of the program, if there is something to share with you about who won last night's caucus, we will share it. But what I want to talk about with you today is what happened, and perhaps more importantly, why the Iowa caucus, in my opinion, is doomed. The Iowa caucus, at least as the first in the nation, it's going to be doomed. So for those of you who have never seen the inside of a caucus, this is what it looks like. People will be in a huge room. Everyone sees everyone. There's no secret voting booth. You don't vote privately. You literally will gather under a banner or under a poster with your candidate's name on it. And you will stand there, and they have 2 times when they tally the number of people in the room. If your candidate has 15% or more, they are considered viable by the rules. That means alive. And they will then go to a second ballot where they count everyone. And then every candidate with 15% or more gets some of the delegates for that county, or that precinct, actually. Now, if you don't have 15%, you get nothing. Zip, nada. That was happening last night. I watched footage last night where Biden and Buttigieg both had 0 people. Because the people in that precinct, there wasn't enough to bring Buttigieg and Biden to a level to compete with Sanders and Warren. This was clearly handpicked by CNN because it was a super liberal precinct where Biden and Buttigieg, who are both considered to be somewhat moderate Democrats, where neither of them had 15% of the people in the room, and Bernie Sanders was blowing the doors off of everyone. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, one other quirky thing. I'm going to show you a clip from one of the news agencies about the coin toss, because there actually is a mechanism in the Iowa precincts, or in the Iowa Democrat Party, for how to deal with a tie. So, these are reasons why, I'm going to pull them all together for you. These are reasons why the Iowa caucus is doomed. So watch this clip.
There's 11 delegates to split up, and you can't split them in half, so the fairest way to decide is a coin toss.
She's going to call heads or tails.
Okay. Tails.
Simple math makes for a rare phenomenon on caucus night.
A coin toss is a very, very rare occasion where basically you have an even number of delegates where the math kind of matches up, where the only way to break that tie would be a game of chance.
40 Democrats file into Fremont Mills High School with a candidate in mind for president, meaning the viability threshold for a candidate is 6. After the first round, 3 Elizabeth Warren supporters had to realign or decide to support a viable candidate. Tara Christensen was one of them.
It was disappointing, but I wasn't discouraged. I mean, we're all here, we're all Democrats, we're all wanting the same thing.
She and another woman moved to Pete Buttigieg's camp, bringing that total to 11. The other Warren supporter chose Amy Klobuchar, bringing her total to 11. First-time caucuser Alex Perrin says he's thankful to live in a rural community where realignment doesn't mean chaos.
Most of us know each other, I guess, so it wasn't as I feel like it wasn't as hectic, everyone trying to like convince each other. We all already kind of know each other. I think there's just level of kind of respect.
Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden tied with 9 supporters at the final count. That coin toss means Biden gets 2 delegates to go to the county convention. Every other candidate gets 3. Caitlin Blake says she's proud Iowa is one of the first in the nation to have a voice in the presidential election.
Just get out and vote. Regardless of what you believe, I mean, we're all here for the same thing. Regardless of if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, you're here for the country.
Officials here in Fremont County tell me they received an award from the state about their voter turnout for last year's off-season caucus, saying they had a higher voter turnout than any other county in the state. They say, though, they were expecting more tonight. Reporting live in Fremont County, Sarah Feely, KET.
All right. I just don't think that the American people, if this really gets out, that they want to believe that their presidential nominee and maybe even their president, I mean, do the math, you can work it backwards. I don't think that they want to believe that their president could be picked by a coin toss. I mean, what is this, the Super Bowl? No, not by a coin toss. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss why. Oh, there's one other thing I want to ask you. Did you notice that footage? Go ahead, just show a couple more clips of any random thing in Iowa. What do you notice? Look at the color of the people. Only 5% of Iowa's caucus goers last night were black. And those would have been in the major city areas. There would have been caucuses all over the state where not a single black person and not a single Hispanic person, not a single Asian person, not a single homosexual, if you could identify them by their clothing or something, not any of these identity groups could be found. Iowa is 90% white in the Democrat Party. And there are going to be people who say, enough of Iowa being first, enough of Iowa being used to winnow the Democrat field of candidates, because it's a bunch of white people, many of whom are still conservative and moderate Democrats. I'll be right back. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Welcome back to the program, friend. I'd like to take a couple of minutes and recount for you my own gut instincts and some of what I was hearing last night as I watched CNN and MSNBC. Please don't hate me, it's just my job. I have to know what the enemies of righteousness are thinking, and you're going to have a much higher chance of finding enemies of righteousness on CNN or MSNBC than you might on Fox cable news. So, the Fox people were just, I think that there were people that are too elated, but I digress. All right, here's what I was listening to from Democrats. And here's my gut instinct on why the Iowa caucus is doomed as the first in the nation. First of all, even though the Democrat Party presents itself as the party of the people, the party of the little guy, most of its leaders, most of its commentators on television, they really are elitists. They view President Trump's supporters, us, as the smelly Walmart people. We're the unintelligent, unwashed masses. We're the fools that cling to our God, our guns, our Bible, our religion. They just despise the average American. And when you drive throughout Iowa, I've spent a lot of time in Iowa over the years because of politics. There are 99 counties there. And as you could see from that footage I played for you earlier, in some of the precincts, less than 50 people will show up for the primary caucus. So there are these elites that resent having to spend time with a bunch of hayseed hicks in Iowa. A bunch of middle-aged, sometimes elderly, white people who still wear farm overalls or big clunky boots, who have spent the day out working their cornfield or what have you. These are not cosmopolitan people in Iowa. These are part of the flyover districts. We fly over Iowa from New York to LA. We don't stop there. And you're forcing us to go to Iowa? So there is a resentment there. Now, here are some of the logical reasons that they are going to say that Iowa needs to stop being the first in the nation to cull people. Number one, it's 90% white. They are going to make this about race. The Iowa population is not, especially inside of the Democrat Party, it does not reflect the population of most of America. And so the argument will be, why are you allowing a bunch of white people who have a more conservative outlook on life, why are you allowing them to get rid of somebody like Buttigieg or Klobuchar? Or why are you allowing them a disproportionate amount of oomph to pick someone like Bernie Sanders? Why shouldn't South Carolina be first? South Carolina has a lot more African American voters, and they tend to be not a lunatic fringe of the Democrat Party that would go after, say, a Bernie Sanders. So that's one argument that's going to be used. That's also going to be about sexual identity. Iowa has not caught up with New York City and Los Angeles regarding sexual ethics. Yes, they pay lip service to people who are trans or any number of the other LGBTQ consonants and vowels. They pay lip service to it, but they're not there. So identity politics is going to bear in on this. Another point is that the caucus system itself is going to be attacked as being inherently undemocratic. Because if you don't have 15% in the room that you're in, your vote, well, they will argue your vote doesn't count. If you came to support Vice President Biden tonight, your vote doesn't count. Because you didn't have, in this one itty-bitty area where there's a bunch of young college kids who want Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, your vote didn't count. You're going to see the party elite of the Democrat National Committee and elected officials, governors, senators, say, we've got to revisit the process. They're going to use very flowery speech, but they're going to go after the process. And what they're also going to say is, here's another reason, is that the caucus system itself is complicated. It's not a private vote. People are there in a room, and if you don't get 15%, and then look what happened, the whole system melted down. And if you go into a machine, one person, one vote, ba-bing, ba-boom, it's over, you go home. The process of the caucus is very time-consuming. It's very intrusive in some ways because you have to stand there and everyone gets to see who you're supporting. And there's going to be elites that use this as an argument why the Iowa caucus should not be the first in the nation. Now, what they'll do is maybe they'll say, look, let's take the first four events: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Utah. Let's have them all be on the first night. Because this is an interesting fact. the Iowa Caucus, Iowa state law says we're going to be first in the nation. The legislature passed a law some years back that said, we don't care what anyone else does in the country. If you move yours up to be first, our state law requires that we move ours ahead of yours. So they're going to have to negotiate something where they say to Iowa, look, you're still the first in the nation along with these other people, so that it doesn't give Iowa a disproportionate amount of influence on the whole nation. And then the last but not least, what the argument is going to be is Iowa had one thing to do, just one, and that was get it right. They had their caucus from 7 to 9, and by 9 o'clock a couple of years ago, or 4 years ago, or 8 years ago, or 12 years ago, by just minutes after 9 o'clock, results were pouring in. Iowa blew it. And there's going to be people at the DNC that say, no. Now, here's the Iowa argument on that one point. They're going to say, hey, whoa. The DNC, the Democrat National Committee, is the one that ordered us to change the way we do things. And our system failed. We admit it, our system failed. But we were dealing with the hand that was dealt to us. We were ordered to do this. And it's not only our fault, it's the Democrat National Committee's fault. That's not going to go far as an argument. And I'm telling you right now that this is a black eye for the Democrat Party. I'm over on my time. I've got to take a break. Remember, if there are results before this show is posted, we will bring those results to you. There's other stuff in the news, the presidential impeachment, the Super Bowl ads, which were boring. I will be right back. Don't go away.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words. Welcome back, friends. Again, stay with me through the whole program, and if there are results, I'll flash them up at the end of the screen. Of course, if there are results, by the time this show airs on Tuesday night, you might have already heard them. So, the Super Bowl. We had to actually hit pause after the first few moments of the dance routine, and then just fast forward through the Shakira and J-Lo performances. They just weren't probably the best for young people. Call me old-fashioned, but please. Anyway, I'm a Super Bowl lover. I used to be a football fanatic as a boy, but I always watched the Super Bowl. It was a great game. A lot of times there have been blowouts, but that was a really good game. The commercials were disappointing. I'm all about watching the commercials. A lot of money is spent, a lot of production time. There was one that stuck out because it was just flat out funny. For those of you that are movie buffs and that know the movie Groundhog Day, this is actually worth watching. If you've never seen Groundhog Day, I don't normally promote comedy movies, but Groundhog Day is funny. And here is the Groundhog Day commercial. Yay, verily, 20 years after the movie originally came out. Here you go, watch this. There you have it. I wanted to lighten up the mood a little bit. All right, the president's impeachment vote of the Senate will be tomorrow on Wednesday. And given some lightning strike, which is not going to happen, the Democrats are going to find egg all over their face. Now, we had the Russian hoax. We had the Mueller report. We've had Adam Schiff saying on the air publicly that they had hard evidence that the president colluded with the Russians. It was all a lie. And this impeachment has truly been a witch hunt. There has never been an impeachable offense committed by the president in regard to what happened to the Ukraine. I don't know if the president's done anything wrong that would be impeachable. I highly doubt it on any other level, because he's got so many plants and moles and spies inside of the White House and all around him, as this whistleblower fake complaint showed. But bottom line is, this is more egg on the Democrat Party's face. And Americans are going to be saying, Republicans are going to be saying, really, all these hoaxes, all these witch hunts, they can't even get an Iowa caucus right. And you want these people to govern the nation? I don't think so. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life. Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Well, I'm sorry, but at the time that we are posting this program, they still don't have the results in Iowa. Funny is that Pete Buttigieg last night claimed victory. That was one of the headlines. Buttigieg claims victory in Iowa. And I'm here to tell you there is a very small chance that he came in first place in the state of Iowa. So we'll talk about this the next time that we get together. In the meantime, New Hampshire is next for the Democrats. President Trump's acquittal is right around the corner. I'll talk to you next time. God bless you.